Invincible is the best comic book adaptation ever made. Screw that. Invincible is the best book adaptation ever made. Every single aspect of the story was expanded into the definitive version of... Spoilers for season 1 of Invincible, obviously. I watched the first 3 seasons of the show before ever even touching the books, and from what I read, they feel more like a rough draft of what the story of Invincible is. So many of my favorite aspects of Invincible were just simply lacking in the original medium. Still an amazing book, but it's really just a summary of Mark Grayson's story. Unlike in the comics, the world that the animated Invincible lives in feels inhabited. The people feel real. The books don't get as much screen time to establish their characters, but without this chemistry between everyone on screen, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like Invincible.
Not bad for a rookie.
Are you kidding? I froze out there. People got hurt.
People escaped because of you.
Both Mark and Eve feel completely real from the start. They give you an early display of who these characters are.
I charge $2.50 an hour.
If...
Now I'm kidding. You are new at this.
That scene was a new addition to the show. This early in the plotline, the comics don't give you time to develop and learn and be with these characters.
Oh, Britta's in this?
In the comics, Eve gets 0 development before catching Rex cheating on her with that multi-slut. This, of course, helps foreshadow the reader to that feeling of betrayal coming up, but at this point in the story, you don't really know Eve. Just like, oh yeah, that girl that's just kind of here got cheated on? I don't care. But in the show, that scene made me want a cigarette. By that point, you know Eve, her personality, her humor, how sweet she can be. I was already attached by this point, so seeing her get hurt in this way is a shared emotion by the viewer. Even Rex cheating on her isn't given that much time in the comics. She cries to Mark once and moves on. But in the show, it sits in these emotions. You feel for her as she tosses out these old pictures, and you see how pissed she is constantly.
I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty.
You can excuse racism.
Even Rex attempting to get back together with her is completely lacking in the comics. You get so much time to see her maturity and her emotional strength. Characters is what Invincible does best. Getting more development this quickly is the best change we could have asked for. The comics treat Robot being human like a shock straight out of nowhere. Due to this, they treat him as if he's just a generic, dirty clanker for the first issues. He doesn't have a personality, he's just generic robot guy, which isn't very fun to read about. In the show, they decided to rush Robot's new body arc. This gave them time to display him as an actual human-sounding character. That still definitely make it a shocking reveal, but the way Robot speaks with sarcasm makes you wonder, what's going on with this guy? The comics do not give you that feeling. When he takes over the new body and terminates his old self, in the comics, that felt like a business transaction. In the show, this is a heartfelt moment. It shows that this character deep down is more human than he is robot. This character has a lot of ground to cover over the story. Letting him develop into a dynamic, nuanced character this early in the plotline is going to greatly help expand him when the time comes. In the comics, the Guardians of the Globe are murdered in the same issue they are introduced in. They show up, they have one scene,
and it's gone.
The show gives them much more time in that first episode. You get to see them effectively defending the White House with 0 casualties. You see them displaying how strong they are as Earth's #1 defenders. When they get murdered by Nolan, they put up a good fight. If they were a little bit better in combat, they could have won. When that scene is over, you know how powerful this team was and that without them, all hope for defense is lost. But in the comics, they just show up,
And it's gone! This line is for people who have money with the bank only. Please step aside.
When I first read the comics, I was expecting a major plot twist about Debbie. I assumed that before the story began, she got a fucking lobotomy because of how stupid and empty and pointless this character is. There is absolutely nothing to say about Comic Debbie. She has completely 0 personality until way deep into the story. And the small moments she does have, not good. She was simply a plot device. Nolan had to have a wife to betray, and biologically, Mark had to have a mother. This was really jarring to me because in the show, Debbie is by a wide margin my favorite character. She's strong, smart, compassionate.
Get inside right now.
Make me.
Does that make you feel strong? To know I can't physically make you do something, is that what you need?
I'm more like you. I'm nothing special.
Oh, like a knife to the heart with this one. You don't have to be the greatest OMNIMAN ever. You just have to be the greatest you.
A complete departure from her original adaptation. After Detroit, the comics like to repeatedly tell you that Debbie gave Marcus humanity, but over this first season, they show you. They display time and time again that she instills love into Mark's mentality, instead of the books just blankly repeating over and over that she gave him compassion. All I think in those moments is,
are you sure?
The original story handles the Guardian's murder very differently, meaning this entire arc of Debbie slowly learning who Nolan truly is didn't exist. I lied earlier. This is the best change the adaptation made. As Debbie gets closer and closer to accepting the truth, Nolan consistently manipulates her to try and quell these suspicions.
What do we do?
We stay together as a family. You, me, and Mark. All you have to do is trust me.
That scene might be the perfect display of both of these characters. Nolan takes her out and puts in way more effort than he usually does.
Oh, we'll never get in.
I made reservations.
You never make reservations.
He gives her a manipulative speech about trust and then emotionally holds her hostage to admit that she trusts him before going and dealing with that dragon.
Nolan!
Do you trust me, Debbie?
There's a dragon behind you!
Please, do you trust me?
I trust you.
You have no idea how much I needed to hear you say that.
This whole trip purely exists for Nolan to try and show her that he has love and empathy in his heart. But when she finally spits out, "I trust you," he doesn't even deal with the dragon. For this reason, he only reassures her that he has no value for human life. After Debbie gets back from Art's shop, she decides to confront Nolan. This is the moment that cements her as the strongest character to ever grace television. She knows that he's murdered their friends, she knows he has no remorse for putting the entire planet in peril, and she knows that in the blink of an eye, he could rip her head off. And yet, she confronts him.
Why did you do it?
I didn't do anything.
Don't lie to me! I know you killed them, Nolan.
You're drunk. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Some of the best scenes in the Invincible story, all from the strongest character, and let me emphasize, none of this was in the book. I cannot express how bad the original Debbie was. When Nolan calls her a pet, he's telling the truth. She is a more mindless bag of carbon than a real person. Since Debbie knows in the new version, it allows her to be actually at the GDA for the finale episode. Having Debbie listen live as Nolan displays how horrid he is while simultaneously beating down her son and acting as if she's livestock. It lets the strongest character have her moment to take it all in. She's granted a moment of weakness. It allows her to break down in tears without making her son see it. This change lets her be present for the biggest moment so far. Debbie is a central character of the story. Having her learn later would not have done this version justice. Mark loves his father more than anything. His entire journey at this point is just living up to the name OMNIMAN. He has so much hope and optimism when he first gets his powers, and then immediately realizes how inept he is.
Meant to do that.
The comics don't really give you the struggle. From the first moments, he really is. He doesn't even bleed until the finale. It treats Mark as if he has no growing up to do at the beginning of his superhero life. He lives up to the responsibility from the first panel we see of him. Mark could not be more inadequate in the adaptation. He is just driven by the thought that he has to be on his father's level now.
I want to do what you do. I want to be just like you.
Not only does he see Nolan's physical strength, he has the entire lifestyle down. A stable marriage, successful career, complete control of his time management. The comics let Mark struggle somewhat with managing his time with Amber, but it's largely irrelevant to the story. Here, they stew in those feelings. He can't do everything. He nearly ruins his entire chance with Amber having to go deal with Seismic at the very start. Unlike his father, emotions cloud his decisions. Every day of Mark's life, he is reminded that he does not compare to his father in any category you could possibly list. The added emphasis on Mark's struggle might be the most important change the adaptation made. In the original medium, Mark basically didn't have an emotional arc until after Detroit. It kind of sucks reading about a main character with minimal struggles and no growth. After the battle with his father, he spends a lot of time processing who he is now. All he's wanted for his entire life is to be just like his father, and now that desire is disgusting to him. The show puts these emotions immediately apparent to Mark. When Cecil offers him a GDA job, he declines it. He realizes the ruthless moments he's had so far are indicative of the monster that's a part of him. However, in the books, he does not have this internal struggle right away. He says yes to Cecil faster than the speed that Debbie turned me into a sub. Amber is an incredibly well-written character in the show.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. She gets a lot of hate merely because she had one scene where the writers dropped the ball. Hey you, I can feel you shaking with the vitriol behind the screen. Go pop a blood pressure pill and for a few moments, just forget that scene exists. She has amazing chemistry with Mark.
Hey, handsome Mark Grayson. I'm glad you've still got that pretty face of yours.
She's intelligent, quick to stand up for herself, atypical in all the best ways possible. The comic characterization is lacking any substance. At least Debbie had a couple not very good moments. Amber gets 0 moments, period. The animated series lets her express how unfair dating Mark would be. He has good motives, but at the end of the day, she's being fed lies, excuses, and having plans canceled constantly. She actually confronts him and expresses the pain he's causing her, opposed to in the comics where she gets over it in about 7 seconds when her goldfish brain resets. And that one scene, I'm not going to try and defend it. They really executed the climax in the worst way possible. But if this moment did happen in the comics, no one would care. The show makes us like Amber. We care for her relationship considering we like Amber. We like what she does for Mark. If you didn't like this character on even a small level, you wouldn't have been so mad about this scene to begin with. I would gladly take a great character lessened by a bad scene than a boring waste of air. Because the comics had less screen time, they didn't have the opportunity to expand on these less important side characters. Rex was a jerk in the books, but he didn't really do much to show that. He cheated on Eve and he was rude a couple times, but nothing groundbreaking. The show makes sure you know he's an asshole with every single sentence he says. You genuinely get mad at the fictional character being rude to the other fictional characters, and you don't get that in the book. The books don't give the Maulers as much personality either. They're way funnier in the show. The fact that they consistently kill each other to get out of a bad situation, simple change that makes these guys way more entertaining. Nolan never confronts Art in the comics. This new scene shows you not only how manipulative Nolan can be, but you see how hurt Art is. You can see on his face and hear in his voice that he's grieving the death of his friend. He knows that the man standing before him is not the one he's known the past 20 years. I could spend 20 minutes listing characters that were better expanded on in the show, but it all accumulates to a more fleshed out, deep, rich world. Seeing how all of these different people have their own lives, complex emotions, mentalities, it all helps emphasize the value everyone in this world has. When all these smaller characters don't get the time and personality to stick through, it doesn't really feel like Invincible. Every time an episode is released, I see arguments everywhere about the morality of each character's actions. Invincible loves to marinate in these gray areas. Unlike similar works, it doesn't try to show you, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. Kirkman loves to emphasize that a world like this wouldn't be so simple to dissect. This aspect is very much present in the books, but they get much more opportunity to expand on it in this new medium. The Titan storyline exists in the books, but the question of him being a benefit to society is barely mentioned. The daughter he treats so well, the positive changes he makes to the neighborhood, all new to the show. When Comic Amber discovered Mark is invincible, she sits there like, wow, tell me everything. And it just doesn't get treated with any substance. The show spends time asking if Mark is making the right decision, if what he's doing is okay. He can't just tell her from day one, but at the same time, this causes him to treat her like an afterthought. It's completely out of his control, but that doesn't suddenly make it okay. All of these concepts were brought up when reading through the story, but the amount of attention spent on the questions the role of Invincible imposes makes these themes so much stronger. The series opens with two random guards talking, laying out their struggles, triumphs, and we hone in on this one guy, implying he's going to be a relevant character. Then the Maulers show up, and they're both nearly eradicated. Soon we figure out these characters are completely irrelevant to the story being told to us. This shows you from the first moments that every single person on screen is valuable. Every background character has their own life, families, challenges. The Invincible books, and frankly most of superhero media, do a horrid job at showing this to you. People die all the time and you become so numbed to the concept. But here, we're consistently made aware that every single person is important. When a character we've never met gets killed, that matters just as much as the characters we know in peril. The Flaxen invasion in the books is entirely different from this newer version, but the most important change is Mark barely fights the Flaxens. He gets sidelined to help this one little old lady, and they show you that in all of this chaos of everything going on, that even this one little old lady, her life matters. Along with seeing her value, it shows us Mark's humanity as he routinely checks in on her. Mark and the audience are both invested in the well-being of a character that we know nothing about. We are constantly shown every single person matters and should be protected at all costs. Now that the audience knows that every single person here matters, when Nolan desecrates them with a complete lack of remorse, it resonates so much deeper within you than it did in the original books. The comics take way longer to introduce the depths of Nolan's morality. The show realized that a sudden snap from dad to conqueror wasn't very satisfying, so they took time to develop this dissonant layers in his morality. Okay, we're gonna talk about this scene. Please just take all of the brain rot, just remove it from your brain.
Guess who's finally getting his powers?
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. Threw a trash bag into space at work.
Oh, that's great, son, just great.
This scene in the comics, Nolan doesn't react whatsoever. He just sits there and observes Mark saying this. In the show, he immediately questions Mark on his discovery.
Are you sure?
And coldly stares with a haunted expression. This is the moment realized that the life, the family, the planet that he loved was over. Without him realizing it, this is the worst news he could receive. Everything he's grown to value in the last 20 years was just leaving him in the blink of an eye. The comic run of Invincible doesn't let Nolan display any signs of humanity until he abruptly leaves the Detroit fight. But now, we get indications that he loves his family. He loves the planet he set out to destroy. This early on, the books poorly express how terrifying a Viltrumite can be. So much tension is added by knowing the insane shit that he can be doing, while also utilizing his apparent lack in morality. When he punches Mark during training, he doesn't care for several moments. He sees Mark as weak, growing up a soft, easy life. These moments help indicate the viewpoint that the Viltrum Empire holds. They changed it from an abrupt shift in his character to dueling emotions, battling for control of his mind. At the end of the Detroit fight, after beating Mark practically to death, he has a moment to reflect. Unlike the comics, we get to see what Nolan was thinking. We're given this beautiful baseball scene. We see the moment that he learns for the first time he loves someone. The boy he's about to behead isn't just some weak Viltrumite, it's his child. All themes on display here were not present until essentially we reunite with him on Thraxa. The book introduces the team by having them show up. Hi, this is my name. Bye. rather than the drawn out scene actually displaying who these people are. Much of the books are villain of the week stories, but the actual villains don't often emphasize the themes and arcs on display for the characters like they do in the show. Of course, the biggest change was having the Guardians of the Globe killed from the very start. This gives a way for Nolan to develop as a two-dimensional character while also giving us the best plotline yet.
Fuck you, Nolan.
But the writing staff understood the moments that worked in the original. In the finale, nothing is moved or changed in the entire event. Instead, they opted to expand this act, adding more chilling moments not present in the original. With all of these additional scenes adding more and more context into the emotional dissonance between father and son. They added nothing without a reason. Everything here actively expands on what the story is about while keeping the heart of the original Detroit issue. If you like this video enough to make it this far, you should really subscribe and share this with a friend. I'm new to doing all of this, and any form of video engagement would go a long way. Big shout out to Lance and Corbin. His video was a major help in piecing together all of the pacing changes in the narrative. Without it, it would have added hours to the writing process. I'm working on sequels for Season 2 and Season 3 comic changes, so stick around for those.
Where is he? Where is Omni-Man?